Hi, everybody. My name is Dr. Soojin Pate, and I am Howard educated and also an alum of the University of Minnesota. That's where I got my PhD in American Studies, specializing in African and African American Studies and Asian American Studies.
And I'm Hannah Carney. She, her, hers are my pronouns. And I'm a mother of two, and my educational background is in education, actually adult education. So I'm just very honored to be here, and I just really, really appreciate the moms who spoke, and excited to share with you and Dr. Soojin Pate our story around the Antiracist Parenting podcast. And also really just want to say thank you to Hilma Boniver, who has helped us in creating our slides. So again, I'm Hannah Carney. I'm a white cis woman married to a white man, and together we're raising two white boys, Tony, who is 7, and Teo is 5. I was born in Atlanta, Georgia, and I grew up in Maple Grove, Minnesota. 2 years ago, I attended a workshop where the presenter spoke of a personal commitment that she had made to normalize talking about race within her spheres of influence. And I had left that workshop and made that same commitment. Given that my white boys will grow to be white adults, I wanted to make sure to raise them to be anti-racist white adults. And that's why I partnered with Dr. Soojin Pate, my friend and co-conspirator, on creating this podcast.
Hi, everyone. My name is Soojin. I'm a cis Korean woman, and I was adopted into an all-white family and community in southern Minnesota when I was 5. Growing up as a person of color in a sea of whiteness had devastating effects on my psyche and spirit. The environment that I experienced bred in me self-hatred and shame. The white supremacist culture all around me, in my home, school, and church, taught me to hate myself. This is the byproduct of white supremacy. It spoon feeds you racism, sexism, heterosexism. And in my consumption of these isms, I internalized the simple yet toxic message that I received from everyone around me, that I'm not enough. Not only that, I was told directly and indirectly that I will never be enough, no matter how hard I try, because I will never be white. Given my premature separation from my amma, the mother who birthed me, my greatest wish was to become a mama to a daughter so that I could restore the mother-daughter bond that was broken through adoption. But I needed to undo the psychic and spiritual damage of white supremacy on my body because I refused to have my daughter grow up in the same conditions that I was raised in. I refused to have my daughter ever feel like she wasn't enough simply because of her gender or the color of her skin. Not under my watch. So this desire to curate conditions that are antithetical to my white supremacist upbringing led to the Anti-Racist Parenting podcast. Hannah and I, we started this podcast because we wanted to be better anti-racist, and we wanted to help raise a generation of anti-racists in order to usher in a new world where conversations around race, racism, white supremacy, and other systems of oppression were as normal as talking to our children about the importance of using your words, or chewing before you swallow, or being kind and generous. These conversations are already normalized in many families of color. However, these conversations are far less common in white families and in the public sphere. We're here to change that through this podcast. So what is anti-racist parenting or anti-racist caretaking? Here's what some of our guests have shared. Anti-racist parenting is love, critical, important, dope, necessary.
Sacred work, the most important thing you can do as a parent or caretaker.
Being really unapologetic about self-love and making sure my kids love who they are, all of their Blackness.
Living in radical Black joy, because my kids, they love life. I want them always to love life.
The wave of the future, so get on board or miss the train.
Remaining open and approaching the work with a sense of discovery and humility.
unpacking generational trauma that comes from white supremacy and other systems of oppression so that we can transform the trauma instead of transmitting it.
Learning from and listening to our youth.
Investigating and answering the question, what are the origins of unfair distribution of suffering and pain in this country? And having answered this question, creating alternative conditions that don't lead to this unfair distribution.
Supporting each other through the ups and downs so that we can journey together for the long haul.
Undoing a lifetime worth of racist conditioning through counter-conditioning, through counter-narratives.
Normalizing the hardest things we can ever talk about. We do this work to prepare ourselves and our children for the struggle ahead. For us to succeed, we must break away from the norms of white supremacy and other oppressive systems. We ask you to join us.
Form significant relationships with people who look different from you. Then listen, truly listen to the stories of people who experience the world differently than you. Then look deep inside to see where you have work to do, to eliminate the pain and suffering of others, and to redistribute white privilege and advantage. Then act and do something to truly change the conditions around you to make them more equitable. We're here if you need support along the way.
Be well.
Be anti-racist. Thank you.
Thank you.